Female executives are on the rise, crushing gender stereotypes in the workplace. We get advice from one of them, the president and chief executive officer of Green Bulb Communications, who has led the award-winning PR agency to success. Leah Caringal joins us now on The Final Word. Leah, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us, what got you into the PR business?
Hi, Rico. How are you doing? It's been a bit since we saw each other last. I'm really glad to be joining you this evening. And hello to those who are watching us tonight. It's actually a really funny story. When I decided what to take in university, I was really led by, and my career then was led by my interest, my personal interest, as well as the process of elimination. So I was always very interested in telling stories and listening to stories, to other people's stories. But at the same time, I knew what were my Waterloo and what I wasn't very good at. And one of them was finance and math. So I figured if I could find a career where talk is something that I can take advantage of, and listening is something that I can really take advantage of, and do away with the math, I thought it was PR and communications and advertising and creatives was the industry to be at. So many years ago, after graduating university in the 90s, I started my business.
Right.
Doing PR and communications.
And you have been very successful over the past decade by setting up your independent public relations company after coming back from Singapore and working with a multinational agency. How are you competing with the big guns from the international field, from an independent PR company up against the multinational groups?
That's a great question, Rico. I think a country like the Philippines is very important to have legs on the ground. If there's any advantage about independent agencies and companies, and I don't talk about agencies alone, but companies who are startups from the Philippines, who start in the Philippines, it's really knowing the market. And I think that's an advantage that I have taken advantage of with my team and with my people.
And what were the biggest hurdles and challenges when you set up Green Bulb Communications more than 10 years ago?
So almost 12, 13 years ago, when I started my startup, at that time, a startup, I didn't have funding. And like in any business, if you don't have funding, that'll be a very challenging time. And I think until today, especially if you're in a small MSME, it's always going to be a challenge, especially in the Philippines, to have support of the banks, to have funding to keep you growing, right? That's one. Two, I think as well is there's not a lot of support from government for MSMEs, whether it's a woman-led company or whether it's a man-led company. I think whether you're a small or big company, those are the things. If you're an independent, those will be the challenges of creating scale.
And just taking a look at your client list, it's a mix of both local and multinational companies. When was the turning point of Green Bulb when you said, wow, I have succeeded with my startup company?
Oh, I think, and then that's another one. I don't think there will ever be a time where I will say, oh, I have succeeded. I can go to sleep now and kind of relax. I think the thing about entrepreneurs and people who start their own business and maintain their own business is that every day is like trucking it. Every day is working. Every day is, you're never satisfied with what you have. And that, I think, is the great gift and curse of being an entrepreneur.
And it is Women's Month, Leah. How are you empowering your women leaders within the organization?
Oh, that's another great question. I think women and men in my organization have equal opportunities. And we're all about, Green Bulb Communication is all about learning more, continuous learning. And so I base all my decisions on merit, man or woman, whether, as long as you do good and you do well, you will be rewarded. And so what do I do with my team and my people? It's always this constant need to learn and to be always curious. I think that's a value that's very important in my organization.
And of course, over the past 2 years, it has also been very challenging, not only for the PR industry, but the advertising agency and for many industries across the board. How did you pivot your business? How did you adjust to the times during the pandemic?
I think the big challenge across the different industries is really not knowing what to do. There was no guidebook in terms of how to handle a pandemic, and because of that, no one had a map as to how to navigate the pandemic. And I think fortunately for my industry, it allowed us to work from home. So we obviously cared for the security and safety of our people. And so that was first and foremost. And because of that, we dictated that essentially all of us would have to work from home. And with our clients as well, I think that was foremost in their minds as well, security and safety of their own people. So we managed to barrel through 24 months, now going more, working from home. However, even if we are working from home, we are slowly seeing people coming back to the offices and whatnot. And I've maintained my office so that there's a space for us to all see each other at a certain point.
Your message, Leah, to women who want to be their own boss.
Oh, there's such a great accomplishment in the feeling of accomplishment in starting up your own business and providing jobs, however small, however tiny that is. I've been an employee myself, but there's a really special feeling of accomplishing something if you are your own boss. So I highly recommend being your own boss to all the women out there.
Leah Caringal of Green Bulb Communications, you're an inspiration to all of us. Thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word.
Thanks, Rico. Thanks for having me. Cheers.